Hey, today we are discussing 13 themes and areas of your life you should consider when goal setting for 2023.
Balancing building a successful business and being a superstar mom is hard, and yet, in today's digital world, it's more common than ever.
The question becomes, how do we successfully grow a business and children at the same time?
Join us for a candid conversation as we share our insights into marketing and motherhood. I'm Angela Reeder.
And I'm Jessie Valle. Welcome to the Marketing Moms Podcast. Okay, so by now, if you've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, you know that Angela and I are planning and goal setting junkies.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that has been helpful in our years of goal setting is to take a look at different areas of our life and kind of analyze and figure out which areas might need a little bit of help and focus as we're goal setting. Now, these 13 themes are not like you do not tackle all of them, not even
No.
close. This is for you to analyze and say, you know what, these 2 to 3 areas in my life could use a little help. They need a little focus. So for 2023 or just for the next quarter or whatever your goal setting at the time, pick just those couple to focus on and let the rest slide until next year. Right? So like let's say for example, well we'll get to all of them, but I'm just saying like if there's an area that you are just like rocking and you feel so good about it and you don't know how it could get better, that's probably not an area that you should write a goal about.
Yeah, and that's okay. I think sometimes, especially us planning junkies, get this idea that no matter how good an area is, we still need to set goals to make it better. And that's not the case. You can just let an area of your life be good and be in a good place.
Yeah. All right. So we've kind of gathered up from different places all over these 13 themes, is what we're calling them, to kind of analyze when you're starting to plan. So if you are ready to plan, don't forget we have our balance journal for free over at marketingmomspodcast.com/balance. Excuse me. And in that, you actually get a little web thing. Angela uses the web thing, I don't. But this kind of like little web thing that you can analyze different areas and kind of see the patterns, and or you can just look at this list and say, I'm doing great here, I need help here, which is
Yeah.
what I typically do.
I like the wheel. I think they're
Oh, it's a
called
wheel.
something
I call it a
Wheel
web.
of Life, Wheel of Life or something. Well, I've seen webs too. But yeah, I like those because it's a visual of how different areas compare to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, without further ado, let's jump in. Theme number 1 is your health, both mental and physical. This one I feel like is very common that people think of. Like, I think a lot of people focus on physical health, especially around the new year.
Yeah.
I'm going to join a gym. I'm going to run
I'm
5
gonna
miles a
lose
day or
weight.
whatever. I'm going to eat healthier.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that your mental health is just as, if not more, important.
Yep.
And when you boost your mental health, everything else becomes better in your life too.
Yeah. Yeah. As someone who's kind of struggled with depression in the past, I can say from experience that when you get your head in the right space and you get your mental health in a good place, it becomes easier to tackle those physical health issues. So it's really hard to be motivated to join a gym if you're struggling with anxiety. And it's really hard to eat right when you just want to have ice cream all day
Hmm.
because you know. So, yeah, so I think a lot of people overlook that mental health aspect, but it really is important, especially if physical health is one of the things that you want to focus on.
So technically, you could have both of those as separate, but we have them wrapped up
Mhm.
into one, which our list is still 13 long.
Yeah.
Even having them wrapped into one, which is health.
Yes.
Theme number two is family. So this one's important, and I guess it kind of is similar to number three. We'll do them both at the same time. Number three is your significant other.
Mhm.
And this doesn't necessarily have to be a spouse or a boyfriend or girlfriend. It could just be like the focal relationship in your life, right? Like
Yeah.
it could be your best friend that you are a roommate with,
Right.
because that focal relationship in your life needs a little bit different attention and care than everybody else in your life.
Yeah.
So this is like, okay, so family, meaning to me, family could be like the family at home. I mean, we're all moms, it could be your kids, but then there is extended family, which I don't even see on this list.
I think it kind of falls in family though.
Yeah.
Like you have the family in the home, but you also have those family relationships outside with parents, siblings, cousins, extended family, whether it's, family you were born into or family you've created over the years. And that requires kind of a specific sort of attention that,
Mhm.
like you said, is different than the attention you would give, like that focal relationship.
Right. Whereas, yeah, the focal relationship could be I want to do, this to help this relationship. But as a family, maybe we want to have a family game night once a
Right.
week. Or,
Yeah.
um, like an example in the past was I wanted to have a sleepover with my daughter once a month. We would have our girls' night, quote unquote
Yeah.
girls' night. We would get snacks and watch a movie, and I'd let her sleep in my bed. So it was like we had our little girls' night, which is totally different than a goal that I would set with my husband.
Right.
He's not into the hey, let's get snacks and watch a Disney
Yeah.
movie. I mean, I don't know
Right.
why.
I can't imagine.
He's like, "I'll do it if we watch Die Hard,"
There
like,
you go. Yes.
is there blood and guts in this movie? Well,
Yes.
no.
No, not really. So, the next area for us to consider, the next theme for us to look at is social. And this can encompass friends, it can encompass your work relationship type things, online friends. Of course, Jesse and I, you'll hear us say all the time online friends are real friends. uh,
Oh, yeah, for sure. My sister,
but
she in the past, I know that she had a friend online, lived far away, and they had a once a week, like, game night. So they would hop on the computer together, and then they would just choose any game. Like, it wasn't always the same, it was just like, "Hey, what are we playing tonight?" And they would find some game to play online, and they would just spend a couple hours together every Friday night. So, your virtual friends are not always work related, for sure.
yeah,
It can also mean, let's see, in the past, I've also thought, "Hey, I'm going to text 3 friends at least once this month."
yeah,
Just to check in, say, "Hey, how you doing?" It was me putting my energy into maintaining that relationship.
right.
Hey, this month in December, maybe it's I'm going to send out a Christmas card to these friends that I haven't talked to in a while.
Yeah. And it can also be a little more broad where it could be like, I'm going to go down. Like, I live in a smallish town, so this may not apply to everybody, but it could be something as simple as I'm going to go down to the parade and I'm going to try to say hi to three people.
Oh, yeah. Like just trying to join the community.
Yes, be like to have some social interactions.
Yeah, I'm gonna say hi to that neighbor I've never talked to.
Yes, exactly that.
Yeah. So those are just ideas of what kind of things fall under the social category. But again, like there are 13 categories here, and you're gonna pick maybe two, maybe three. You are not going to tackle all of them this year, right? Like you are just gonna tackle a few. And if you think you get in a really good place, then you can move on to another. But
Yeah.
and it might also be a long-term game. Like, you know what? I didn't say hi to anybody this year, but I've only lived here a year, so maybe I'll tackle it next year. Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 5 is personal development. So this is to me, I think a lot of entrepreneurs are personal development junkies.
Yes.
I swear I didn't pick up a personal development book until I met entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And in
Yeah.
fact, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing to say. Um, there was a book that came out, and I won't say which one, but it was a book. It was all about personal development, and I did read it because everybody was reading it at the
Right.
time, and a couple people were talking about it, and they're like, "What do you think, Jesse?" And I was just like, "Oh, it's not really my thing." And they laughed, and they're like, "You would totally say that." I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? Because I think it was just too touchy-feely magical for me,
Yeah.
like, in my
Right.
personality, because I was just kind of like, "Yeah, it was alright, it really wasn't for me." And they're just like, "You would totally say that." I'm like, "Okay, you're right, because I did."
Yes,
So,
exactly.
I will say that when I think of personal development for me, who I am not a very, touchy-feely type person, for me, personal development is like I'm going to try to appreciate what I have. Like I might be the whole I'm going to think about a couple things I'm grateful for each day or
Yeah.
but I'm not going to be the person that's I don't know, just doing I don't have an example. Just
Yeah.
know that all of these areas like each of us have different levels of them. And I'm
Yeah,
owning the
and
fact that
different
my
ways of
personal
looking at
development is
them.
not that high.
Yes. And I think one thing I've noticed with entrepreneurs as well, and I think some of our marketing moms will uh might feel a little called out, is that we tend to be all or nothing. Like
Mm,
we are all personal development junkies, but it also seems to be one of the first thing that get backburnered whenever other things come up. Like my personal development can wait. I have all of these books, I have all of these courses. I get very excited every time I see a new one, but I haven't opened any of them, I haven't looked at any of them.
yeah.
So maybe this is the year or the quarter or whatever that you actually get into one of those things.
If you feel that that's the
If you
area you
feel like
want
that's
to
the area you need
improve.
to tackle.
All right, number 6 kind of falls into this as well, and that is faith. So faith can be very important to a lot of people, and for some people, maybe they're feeling like I didn't practice my faith as much as I would have liked. And I'm keeping this broad because obviously there are many, many, many different types of faith
Many.
worldwide.
Yes.
So just whatever your faith happens to be, some people want to put a focus on that. Like, you know what?
Mhm.
That one year when I practiced my faith every day for 10 minutes, life was just better. I want to
Yeah.
get back to that. And so
Mhm.
that might be, an area that you focus on as well. Sorry, I was like waiting because I was like, maybe Angela wants to introduce some of these instead of just me railroading like I usually do.
I was going to, but then I couldn't think of anything to say for influence, and I didn't wanna just be like, "The next one is influence." Jesse, why don't you explain that?
Well, I'd love to. Number 7 is influence. So, influence is like, for a lot of people, now this can be both professional and personal influence, right? Like, I might want to work on influencing, and this is not like the quote unquote influencer. It
Right.
can be, but it doesn't have to be. So for me, it might be I want to influence maybe it might be I want to influence my community. So that would mean that I'm going to get out and volunteer and set up a block party or do something that I'm influencing those around me. It could be as simple as I want to do better at influencing, I don't know, I was going to say the younger generation, like trying
Sure.
to, perhaps it would be I'm going to go to the schools and
Yeah.
talk about what it's like to be an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
which we all know that that's not something that schools necessarily talk a lot about or teach. And so I'm going to work on influencing the next generation of entrepreneurs by sharing what I've learned with them. Or maybe it's the same thing here. Like Angela and I are working on our influence right now by sharing
Hmm.
our insights into marketing and motherhood with you
Yes.
all. So for us, influence for us might be growing our podcast so that we can reach more people with these realistic, candid conversations.
Hmm. Yeah. It's sort of anything that makes a change in the world around you.
Yeah. I mean, and it could totally be
And
I
it can be
want
a
to
small
become an
change.
influencer on Instagram. That's
Oh,
not our
yeah.
goal, but hey, it could be yours. Okay. So number 8 is financial.
I think this is another one of those that always tops the chart at New Year's, where
Mhm.
people are like, this is the year I'm going to pay off the credit card. This is the year I'm going to make all the money. This is the year
Yeah.
we're going to save for that vacation or whatever.
Yeah. Not to toss it back around and be a little morbid. Um, but I've known a few people recently who passed away earlier than their time.
Hmm.
And it made me really realize that some of those things that you want to do, you should do them.
Yeah.
I know my husband really, 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 really wants to take the kids to Disney someday. It's not really at the top of my list. I don't know why. Maybe because it was never just a goal for me and my family. But to my husband, he really wants to take the kids to Disney someday. So maybe it's time to say, like, yeah, financial wise, I'm going to make that trip work this year.
Yeah.
Instead of, hey, I'm going to try to save up. No, it's how can I make it work?
Yeah.
And that is like a little tip for a lot of things. Like when you when you change that perspective, it's not, hey, how can I oh, it would be nice if I made this much money because then I could take my
Right.
family. No, it's how can I make it happen?
Yeah. How can I make this? How do I make this a reality?
Yes, how do I make this a reality? And changing that focus can really help push you to get there versus the someday mentality. But instead, it's the now mentality. I hope
Yeah.
that makes sense. We should definitely do a full episode on that.
Yeah. For sure. And that sort of rolls into our next one, number 9, which is travel.
Hmm.
And that can be a big goal for a lot of people. Like Jesse said, going to Disney, taking a vacation, traveling to big landmarks or different places like that. Um, and what that is going to look like. And it can be something small. It could even be like, we're going to travel 3 hours to go see grandma twice a year or something. Um, just anything that is traveling and puts you out of what would normally be your comfort zone, I guess.
Hmm. Or your daily
Your little
routine.
area. Yeah.
Um, or it could be huge. Angela's talking about little, but it could
Yeah.
also be huge. Like I know a couple people who literally sold their house,
Oh, yeah.
most of their possessions, bought an
Mhm.
RV, and just started
Yeah.
riding around the country. Now that would be my nightmare. I would never
Yes,
do
me
it,
too.
but they seem to enjoy it.
Yes, it works great for them. I even know people who have kids that do that, and
Mhm. Yep, me too.
that's not a thing I would enjoy, but
No.
they really love it, and their kids get to see a lot of different things in different places in the country, so, you know.
No, for sure. Okay, so number 10 is community. Now, we've covered this a little bit with like influence and social and things like
Yeah.
that, but you know, in life, I feel, and this is a personal thing, that I feel like at the end of our lives, people and relationships are what matter most. So,
Mhm.
for your community, it might be, hey, I want to try to better my relationships with the people. But it could also just be, hey, you know that park in our
Yeah.
community that's looking a little downtrodden? Maybe I'm going to
Yep.
go help spruce it up. Maybe I'm going to go mow it or pick some weeds or um, buy some more sand or those little rubbery thingies and
Yeah.
mulch and
Yes.
and like try to spruce it up for the children of the community. Like, or maybe it's volunteering at a soup kitchen. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people want to feel connected to their community. So I think having it separate on this list is important to just like not just focus on social. Like to me,
Right.
a lot of social might be, your friends and this and that, but
Yeah.
community is very specific.
Yeah. And that it's a chance with this to be a good example for our kids. And I think sometimes we don't really realize what an impact giving them the opportunity to be involved in the community can make. We had a tornado come through our town some years ago when my kids were quite a bit littler, and it went through the park and just tore things all up, uprooted trees, knocked over swings. It was bad. And so a couple days later, the community got together and they had like a section of the park that they were letting the kids help clean up, because a lot of the park they had to have big equipment and stuff like that, so they
Mhm.
couldn't let them over there. There's this little section of the park and the kids were gathering up all these giant branches. You'd have like 10 or 12 kids pulling this giant branch
Aw.
over into a pile. It was so cute. And we took our kids and we made kind of a big deal of, we're helping the community. We're going to put the park back together. And then we didn't really think anything of it. But they still, years later, when people ask them about what's something that you've done to help the community, or what's one of your favorite things you've done, they still talk about getting to go help clean up the park.
Mhm.
And we didn't really think at the time it was going to be such a big deal, but it really can be for kids to have the opportunity to feel like they're contributing to their community. And so maybe something like that can be a goal as well, where it's not just something that you're doing, but something you can get your kids involved with as well. And I know as mothers, like being able to involve our kids can sometimes make things a little bit easier to accomplish when we
It's
don't
funny
have
you
to
say that
try.
because I was thinking the opposite. I'm like, I was thinking it makes it harder to accomplish.
Well, if you don't have to try and find someone to watch the kids and make
That's
arrangements, it can
true.
be a little bit easier if you can
But
just kind of.
that's kind of the thing too. It's like when you're involving your kids, maybe it takes a little longer than it
Yeah.
would have, but look at the impact you're making on their lives
Mhm. Yeah.
and the lessons that you're teaching them. Okay, I like
Yeah.
it. I like it. All right, number 11 is fun. So, of course, I feel like a lot of these, especially as we get to the end of the list, relate to some of the others, but fun can obviously be far or close.
Hmm.
Just this a couple weeks ago, my daughter introduced, well, I want to say introduced, like I've obviously known for years she likes Minecraft. But she had me sit down and she was like, "Mommy, can you play with me?" I was like, "Okay, whatever." So I sat down and I started playing with her. For the next 3 days, every day she got home from school, it was, "Mommy, can we play? Mommy, can we play? Mommy."
Yeah.
And then it was so funny. It got to the point where my husband was like, "All right, it's time to stop and go to bed." And then I'm the one over here going, "5 more minutes,
Oh, just 2
Dad."
more minutes.
But it's like I was able to um not worry about work, not worry about
Mhm.
cleaning the house. I was just having
Ugh,
fun with my
yeah.
daughter in a memory that she'll remember because she's like, "It's so much fun to sit here and play this with my mom."
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
addicted, by the way. We haven't played in at least a week.
Yeah, well, and I think it's important to remember that everybody's fun looks different.
Mhm.
So, just because your fun isn't necessarily what some people would consider, like, fun, doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that. Like, I know people whose fun is, like, cross-stitching, like, that's what they do for
Oh,
fun.
yeah. Oh,
Like,
yeah, my mom does that
I
sometimes.
I would lose my but, like, I crochet for fun, and I l learn languages. Don't ask me to speak any. Don't, I can't.
No, no, no,
But I am
no. What was it the other day? Um,
Oh, the spreadsheet. Yeah.
yeah, I was just like,
Yes,
"What?"
that's my fun for this week, is if I get all of my tasks done, I get to do the fun thing, which is creating a spreadsheet that outlines all of the different, privacy data laws in the country and, like, globally, and how they apply to different people. That's my fun for this
And I
week.
was
Jesse
like,
thinks I'm crazy.
"Excuse me? Like, you're looking forward to that? What?" Like, she messaged me, she's like, "I'm such a nerd. This is I'm working hard so that I can do this."
I
And I'm just
can
like,
do this.
"What? Data privacy? Are you kidding me?" Oh my gosh. So, yes. Or fun could be do it like okay, seriously, this is on my bucket list. I want to take an Alaskan cruise.
Oh, that
I
would be
hear they're
fun.
really fun. I've never been on a cruise ever, but I don't know why
Yeah,
in my head I want the Alaskan cruise.
yeah. I think that would be fun to go to Alaska. Not the cruise part. I don't like being on big boats, but but the Alaska part would be fun.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just something that I think, "Oh, it would be really fun." Or maybe it's yeah, curling up in the corner with a good book.
Oh yeah, that's always fun.
Oh, yeah, so fun. So, whatever fun looks like for you, my husband, at least once every couple weeks after he picks up my daughter from school, he takes the kids to the arcade.
Ooh.
I'm gonna be honest, arcades give me a lot of anxiety. All the
Yeah.
lights and the noise and the sounds and the kids running
And the
everywhere and all those
people.
machines are
Yeah.
jam-packed together, like, I get anxious, but they love it. So, it's something they can go have fun and do, and then
Mhm.
I don't have to go.
Yes.
So, fun yeah, whatever you think is fun, whether it be data privacy spreadsheets or something else, you do you. Okay, number 12, we're getting close to the end of our list, is
Mhm.
environment. So, for me, this would be focusing on home decor,
Mhm.
organization, what uh, and by organization, this is interesting. I don't just mean organizing the things you have, but also going through and purging. Like, I totally need to
Mhm.
do this for toys, especially with Christmas coming
Yes.
up. I should I should be doing it right now while
Yeah.
my daughter's in school. Like, just getting rid of some of the broken toys or the toys that are
Right.
too that they'd never play with or that are too young, like non-age appropriate.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, me too.
if you see me going to Home Goods, one, that relaxes me. But if I'm going to Home Goods to buy organizers and then I come home and start organizing a closet or a pantry or a room, like, back off because I organize when I get stressed out.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my happy place, and for some people, they hate it.
Yes. Well, and I think too, when we think about our environment, um, it's more about adapting your environment to work with you and the way that you like to work.
Mhm.
Like, I have piles on my desk because if I put them places, I will forget that I have it,
Mhm.
um, and things like that. And so I have kind of arranged my desk so that it doesn't look awful with piles on it. So things like that, just sort of looking at your environment and thinking, how can I make this better to make my life go a little bit smoother or our
Mhm.
family run a little bit smoother,
Mhm.
things like that.
I mean, maybe it's, finally hanging up those hooks by the door to put the backpacks or something like
Yeah.
that, you know? Like like you said, what can you do to make your environment work with you instead of against you? Maybe
Yeah.
you're tired of a whole bunch of shoes all over the floor. Okay, maybe I'm going to get a shoe rack or come up with a shoe system.
Yeah, we did that a while back. My husband made like a shoe bin with a little cubby for every person to put their shoes in.
Oh, love it. Okay. And last but not least, number 13 is material things. Now, I know that it sounds a little shallow to put that on a list of goal setting, but it's not. I mean, it is. It can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Yes.
When I say material things, like I said, a lot of these, especially this being the last one, relates to other ones.
Right.
So for me, I this Black Friday found a great deal on a treadmill. It's a material thing that I do not have to have in my home. Obviously, I can go outside and walk if I really want to, but it's something that I've wanted for years. And I finally decided this is the year I'm going to get it. And it's material in that it's just a thing, but it's going to help my mental and physical health
Mhm.
to burn off some steam. And I can just hop off every time I get stressed onto the treadmill for 10 minutes and
Right.
maybe, do something like that. But like it's a material thing. And maybe there's some things that you've really wanted in your life. Like you don't have to explain why you want that really expensive car if that's your thing.
Right.
If that's a goal
Yeah.
for you personally because of something, then you should go for it. You should do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a friend, her thing is purses, like really
Mhm.
nice
Yeah.
purses. Now, me, I don't think I've ever spent more than well, up until recently, I had never spent more than $30 on a
Mhm.
purse. Um, I've still never spent more than $50 on a purse, but that's her thing. She
I know. I'm like,
loves really nice purses. My
yeah.
thing is books. I like
Mhm.
books on my Kindle and in real life.
Yeah.
I have more books than I could ever read in my entire life, and I just keep buying more. Um, but it makes me happy.
Exactly. There you
That's
go.
my thing.
And I love something that Angela told me, I don't know, several months ago. Other people's opinion of me is not my problem.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what anybody else thinks about how you're spending your money is not your problem.
Yeah.
You do whatever makes you happy, whatever you choose to do with what you have, and what other people think about it is not your problem. The hardest one is your mother,
Yes.
because sometimes my mother says stuff and it makes me cringe, but then I'm just like, but it's not her life, it's not her
Yeah.
choice. And I don't know, like when people say things, I'm not necessarily saying our mothers, but it makes you wonder, is it jealousy? Is it
Mhm.
is it them wishing they had the courage to go out and start a business and do what you're doing?
Yeah.
Like, but then again, their jealousy or whatever it is not your problem.
Yeah.
There's this book that I just love, and it's called Essentialism by Greg McKeown. And I just love it because there's a part in there that's like, if you don't want to go to the retirement party, don't go.
Yeah.
And when other people ask you, why aren't you going? Like, you don't have to tell them. Like, they don't,
Yes.
like, there's nothing that says you have to tell them, well, I don't want to. I want to go snuggle up with a good book on the couch at home
Right.
instead of hanging out with you. You don't have to tell them that. It's none
Yeah.
of their business. You do you, and don't worry what other people think. Now,
Yeah.
if your job is on the line because your boss expects you to be there, perhaps you make an
Probably should go.
appearance. But
Yeah.
if that is not an issue and it's just like you're worried that people will wonder why you're not there, that's not your problem.
Yeah. Because really, at the end of the day, you are the one that's living your life. And
Mhm.
so other people's opinions, they don't have to deal with the consequences of those opinions.
Yeah.
Like, they may think, oh, they really should do whatever, but they don't have to deal with the consequences of what happens when you do whatever and whether or not it makes you happy or makes your life easier or things like that. Like we were saying about the traveling in the RV, like
Mhm.
someone might think, oh, you should sell all your stuff and go traveling with your kids. Like that might be their opinion, but I don't have to live with the consequences if I do that. I have to live with the consequences if I do that. And I know that that's not a thing that is going to work for my family.
Exactly. Exactly. So when I say material things, not like you need my permission in life, but it's me giving you permission to spend your money how you choose.
Yes.
You do you. That's pretty much
Yes,
what I've said
exactly.
throughout this whole episode.
Yes. Yep.
And I
So, and
have to
as
say
a
that because
reminder,
everybody's different.
yes. Yeah. And as a reminder, don't try to tackle all 13 of these at
Mm-mm.
one time. Pick a couple, look at maybe which ones are going to have the biggest impact on your life, which areas you're struggling in the most, which areas interest you the most in
Mhm.
growing in that area, and just pick two or three to focus on for the year or the quarter or however long you like to plan for, and then go from there.
Yeah. And a lot of these can also be broken into personal versus business, although
Mhm.
we're advocates of it's all one because it's all your life.
Yeah.
Um, but, influence, for example, you can be influential in business and you can also be influential in your community and with
Hmm.
people versus a business twist. So,
Right.
you know, it's okay to narrow these down, but these are just 13 areas or themes that you really should consider when you're trying to decide where to focus your goals for 2023 or the quarter or whatever you happen to be doing.
Which is right around the corner, and I still can't wrap
I
my
know.
head around.
I know. So, your next step is to head over to marketingmomspodcast.com/balance to check out our free balance journal that has all of these inside the first of our 5 ingredients to finding balance, which you'll find there in the balance journal. And we have past episodes a couple months back all about each one of these, but we have links to all of those when you sign up for the business or for the balance journal. And we cannot wait to chat with you next week. Thank you for joining us today. We're so honored this is where you chose to spend your time.
If this episode helped you in some way, please share it with another mom who needs to hear it. We're in this together.
And if you're ready for next steps, free goodies, and more, head over to marketingmomspodcast.com.
We'll see you next week.